In the blood-soaked history of global warfare, no invention has changed the world like the assault rifle. It is the ultimate tool of the individual soldier, a blend of raw power and portable engineering. But the true story isn't just about the famous icons like the AK-47 or the American M16. It is a saga of forgotten failures, secret prototypes, and the national pride of over 50 nations. To understand the future of combat, we must first look back at the ancestors of the fire. These are the weapons that existed before the term assault rifle was even a whisper in history. In a time of slow bolt actions, a few visionaries saw a world of rapid-fire lead and steel. This is the select fire revolution, and it began much earlier than you might think. We start in Italy. The year is 1900. Decades before the Great Wars would reshape the planet. An Italian officer named Amerigo C. I. Rigotti dared to build a gas-operated rifle that fired filato. It featured a detachable magazine and a 6.5mm cartridge, but it was far ahead of its time. Plagued by jamming and overheating, it became the technical grandfather of every weapon on this list. By 1915, the Russian Empire was bleeding, and Vladimir Fedorov realized the power of the future. He knew that standard rifle cartridges were too violent to control during a burst of automatic fire. His solution was the Fedorov Automat, chambered in the lighter Japanese 6.5mm Arisaka round. While heavy and clumsy, it was the prophetic spark that ignited the Soviet obsession with automatic steel. Across the Atlantic in 1917, the Americans were looking for a way to sweep the muddy trenches. Aviators and infantry modified the Winchester Model 1907 hunting rifle to fire on a fully automatic setting. It was a crude modification fitted with extended magazines, firing a round designed for small game. Though heavy, it brought the first taste of rapid-fire chaos to the wet, dark mud of Europe. Also in 1917, one of the most bizarre designs in history emerged from the American laboratory. The Burton LMR was a double-barreled machine rifle designed specifically to burn German observation balloons. It used two magazines sticking out of the top like bunny ears, firing a special incendiary cartridge. It predicted the intermediate cartridge concept by 30 years, though it never reached the hands of soldiers. France had its own missed opportunity in 1918 with a weapon known as the Ribeirolles. It was an automatic carbine firing a bespoke 8mm intermediate round developed specifically for this gun. By modern technical definitions, it was arguably the first true assault rifle to ever walk the earth. But as the war ended, the French military forgot the lesson and returned to their old bold action ways. In the shadows of 1935 Germany, a secret project was brewing under the name Valmer M35. Heinrich Valmer designed a select-fire carbine that utilized an intermediate cartridge long before the war. It was a functional masterpiece, but the Nazi high command deemed it too complex for mass production. The project was shelved, but the idea of a middle-ground cartridge refused to die in the German mind. As the world plunged into the Second World War, the necessity of firepower became a desperate reality. The jungle warfare of the Pacific demanded a weapon more capable than a pistol, but lighter than a machine gun. In 1944, the Americans introduced the M2 carbine, a select-fire version of their famous self-defense gun. Though its bullet was weak compared to a full rifle, it brought automatic fire to Okinawa and Korea. Germany's elite paratroopers needed something more robust for their higher-risk jumps into enemy territory. The FG-42 was a mechanical marvel that fired a full-power rifle cartridge from an open-bolt system. It allowed the gun to stay cool during sustained fire, and its design was incredibly sophisticated for the era. It later became the direct inspiration for the American M60 machine gun after the war ended. In 1942, the race to build the first true mass-produced assault rifle reached a boiling point in Germany. Two competitors, Henel and Walther, submitted their MKB for 2 prototypes to the German High Command. Both designs were revolutionary, but the Henel version proved more durable during the rigors of testing. This design would evolve into a weapon that would eventually change the dictionary of warfare. The Sturmgewehr 44, or STG-44, is the weapon that officially gave the class its fearsome name, meaning storm rifle. It fired the 7.92 by 33 mm Kurz round, perfectly balancing power and control. It offered the suppression of a machine gun with the pinpoint precision of a traditional infantry rifle. While it came too late to save the Reich, the Soviets and Americans knew the future had arrived. As the war reached its end in 1945, the Germans looked for a cheaper successor to the STG-44. The STG-45M used a revolutionary roller delayed, a blowback system, to slow down the movement of the bolt. It was designed to be stamped from steel, making it as cheap and fast to produce as possible. Though it saw little action, its internal mechanism would later birth the legendary Heckler & Koch G3. Another desperate design was the Grossfuss, which utilized a unique gas delay system for its action. It was an ugly, crude prototype designed to be built in small workshops by a crumbling empire. It proved that an assault rifle didn't need to be a precision machine to be deadly on the battlefield. Like many late-war projects, it was a testament to German engineering under the pressure of total defeat. In the final days of 1945, the Wimmersberg SPZ emerged as a true Frankenstein of the weapon world. It was a last-ditch effort made from captured British Sten gun parts and existing STG-44 magazines. Crudely welded together, it represented the absolute desperation of an army with its back against the wall. It was a weapon born of chaos, barely functional, but terrifying in its intent to keep fighting. On the Eastern Front, the Soviets were busy developing their own answer to the German storm rifle. The Suda-Ev AS-44 was the first Soviet attempt to use their new 7.62 x 39 mm intermediate cartridge. It was a reliable contender, but it weighed as much as a light machine gun, making it hard to carry. The creator's untimely death left the door wide open for a young sergeant named Mikhail Kalashnikov. Before the AK was king, the Russians also experimented with the Tokarev AVT-40 select fire rifle. It was a modified version of the SVT-40 battle rifle, but it proved to be an uncontrollable beast. The full-power cartridge was too strong for the light frame, causing it to shake violently on full auto. It was rarely issued to anyone but squad leaders, serving as a placeholder until the AK arrived. Even Japan, in the dying months of 1944, tried to match the massive firepower of the American forces. The Type 4 rifle was a direct copy of the American M1 Garand, chambered in Japanese 7.7 mm. While it was primarily semi-automatic, prototypes for a full-auto version were being drafted in secrecy. These weapons never saw mass production, as the war ended before the factories could be completed. Now we enter the era of the Soviet bloc, where the AK family tree began to arm the entire world. In 1947, Mikhail Kalashnikov finalized his masterpiece, the original milled receiver, AK-47, built with loose tolerances. It was designed to survive mud, sand, water, and total soldier neglect. It is not the most accurate rifle ever made, but it remains the most reliable machine built by man. By 1959, the Soviets modernized the design with the AKM, moving from milled steel to stamped sheets. It was lighter, cheaper to manufacture, and featured a new muzzle brake to help control the recoil. This is the version of the Kalashnikov that is most commonly seen in modern news reports and movies. It turned the AK from a secret Soviet weapon into a global icon of revolution and conflict. To provide heavy fire for the squad, the Soviets introduced the RPK variant of the Kalashnikov. It featured a longer, heavier barrel, a bipod for stability, and a reinforced receiver for heat. This weapon bridged the gap between a standard infantry rifle and a full-sized machine gun. It allowed a single soldier to provide suppressing fire, while still sharing parts with the rest of the squad. Not every Soviet design that was superior actually made it into the hands of the Red Army. The Korobov TKB-517 was lighter, cheaper, and more accurate than the AKM during the military trials. However, internal politics and existing factory setups kept the Kalashnikov in power across the USSR. The TKB-517 remains a lost masterpiece of Soviet engineering that almost changed the course of history. China took the AK design and created the Type 56, one of the most prolific clones in history. It is easily recognized by its fully enclosed front sight ring and a folding spike bayonet under the barrel. This rifle flooded into Vietnam, Africa, and the Middle East, arming millions of insurgent forces. It remains a symbol of Chinese manufacturing power and its influence on Cold War proxy battles. The Type 63 was a strange Chinese mutant that attempted to bridge two different weapon philosophies. It looked like an SKS carbine, but functioned with a rotating bolt mechanism found inside an AK-47. It was China's attempt to build an indigenous rifle, but it suffered from massive quality control issues. Despite its flaws, it showed China's desire to move away from simply copying Soviet technology. Czechoslovakia refused to simply copy the Russian AK, leading to the creation of the unique VZ-58. It looks identical to an AK-47 from a distance. But internally, every single part is completely different. It uses a striker-fired system and a short-stroke piston. Making it lighter and more refined than the AK, it proved that Czech engineers were among the best in the world, maintaining their own identity. Hungary contributed the AMD 265, a short-barreled and flashy variant designed for specialized units. Built for tank crews and paratroopers, it featured a side-folding wire stock and a massive muzzle brake. The brake was so large, it famously shot massive fireballs, making it one of the loudest AKs ever made. It remains a favorite for private contractors and security forces due to its compact and rugged nature. Romania created the PMMD-63, a rifle that gained worldwide fame for its unique wooden furniture. It featured an integrated vertical wooden grip on the lower handguard, often called the dong. This grip helps soldiers control the climb of the barrel during rapid, fully automatic fire in the field. It became one of the most recognizable AK variants used throughout the conflicts in the Balkans. East Germany took a high-tech approach with the MPIKM, replacing wood with specialized plastics. It is known for its distinct pebble-textured brown plastic stock and grips, which were light and durable. This plastic was more resistant to rot and moisture than the traditional wood used by the Russians. It represented the industrial precision of the German Democratic Republic during the height of the Cold War. Yugoslavia built their AKs differently, resulting in the incredibly strong and durable Zastava M70. The receiver was made thicker to handle the intense recoil of launching heavy rifle grenades from the barrel. While it lacked the chrome-lined barrel of the Russian guns, it was built to last through decades of war. It served as the backbone of the Yugoslav People's Army and saw heavy use during the 1990s. Iraq developed the Tabak sniper rifle, which was actually a long-barreled variant of the Yugoslav M70. It served as a designated marksman rifle during the long and bloody Iran-Iraq War and the Gulf Wars. It filled the critical gap between the standard infantry AK and the more specialized Dragunov sniper. It is a testament to how the AK platform can be stretched to fit almost any role on the battlefield. Deep within the Hermit Kingdom, North Korea produced the Type 88, a clone of the Soviet AK-74. It is unique because it's metal. Stock folds over the top of the receiver to save space during transport. This design is rarely seen outside of North Korea, keeping the weapon shrouded in national mystery. It continues to be the primary weapon of the massive North Korean military to this very day. Just before the Berlin Wall fell, East Germany attempted to market the Uyghur STG-9402 to the world. was a high-quality AK chambered in the Western 5.56 mm caliber, designed specifically for export. However, history moved too fast, and the factory was closed following the German reunification. It remains a rare collector's item and a ghost of a country that no longer exists on the map. As the East perfected the AK, the West struggled to adapt to the new age of intermediate cartridges. Eugene Stoner's original design was the AR-10, a powerful rifle chambered in the full-power 7.62 mm. It used aerospace-grade aluminum and plastic, making it look like a space gun compared to its peers. Though the U.S. Army rejected it, this weapon laid the essential groundwork for the iconic M16. In 1964, the M16 and M16A1 arrived in Vietnam, officially changing the face of Western warfare. It fired a tiny, high-velocity 5.56 mm bullet that relied on speed rather than weight to cause damage. Early versions famously jammed because of poor maintenance education and the wrong type of gunpowder. But after several improvements, it evolved into the most precise military rifle in human history. Special operations in the jungles of Vietnam required a shorter weapon, leading to the XM177 Commando. This was a shortened M16 that featured a massive moderator on the muzzle to tame the loud blast. It allowed elite teams to move quickly through thick brush while maintaining the power of a rifle. This weapon is the direct grandfather of the modern M4 carbine used by soldiers all over the world. Armalite designed the AR-018 as a cheaper, more rugged alternative to the sophisticated M16 design. It used stamped steel and a simple piston system that stayed cleaner than the M16's internal gas. While the United States military never adopted it, its internal soul lives on in almost every modern rifle. It is famously known as the Widowmaker due to its use by various paramilitary groups over the decades. The Ruger AC-556 was a select-fire version of the civilian Mini-14, using a traditional wooden look. It utilized a Garand-style action, but was chambered in the modern 5.56 mm cartridge for military use. While it was rarely used by major armies, it became a pop culture icon on 1980s television shows. It offered a classic aesthetic with the modern capability of fully automatic fire on command. Belgium's FN attempted to enter the 5.56 mm market with the FN Cal, which was a scaled-down fall. However, the design proved to be far too complex and expensive for nations to mass-produce. It was a commercial failure, but it taught the engineers at FN how to build a better rifle next time. From the ashes of the Cal, the world would eventually receive the much more successful FNC. The FN-FNC became a robust and reliable successor that combined the best ideas from the AK and M16. It was designed to be simple to maintain and incredibly tough in the harshest environments on Earth. This rifle gained Hollywood fame in the hands of Al Pacino during the legendary street battle in Heat. It remains a respected service rifle for many nations, including Sweden and Indonesia. Germany's Heckler & Koch took their famous G3 battle rifle and shrunk it down to create the HK-33. It used the unique roller-delayed blowback system, making it heavy but incredibly reliable under pressure. While complex to manufacture, it became a favorite for elite police and military units globally. It offered a level of German precision that few other 5.56 mm rifles could match at the time. The HK-41 was an attempt to modernize the HK-33 by making it compatible with American M16 magazines. It was built with extreme quality, but that quality came with a massive price tag and extra weight. It failed to find a market in a world that was looking for lighter and cheaper options for their troops. It remains a footnote in HK history, representing a bridge that few countries wanted to cross. Italy produced the Beretta AR-70, solid and no-nonsense rifle that served them through the Cold War. It combined the gas piston of an AK with the refined Italian ergonomics and manufacturing standards. It was a workhorse for the Italian military until the arrival of the more modern ARX-160 polymer rifle. The AR-70 is remembered for its reliability in the mountains and coastal regions of the Mediterranean. Switzerland's SIG SG-530 was a roller-locked prototype that proved too difficult to build at scale. This led the Swiss to pivot toward a more traditional gas piston design for their future infantry weapons. The lesson learned from the 530 allowed SIG to dominate the high-end rifle market in the years following. It was a necessary failure on the path to creating some of the world's most accurate firearms. The SIG 540 was a cheaper, simplified version of the Swiss design licensed to France and Chile. It armed many African and South American nations during the turbulent years of the 70s and 80s. It offered a middle ground between the high-cost Swiss precision and the ruggedness of a service gun. Many of these rifles are still found in active service in remote corners of the world today. The SIG SG-550 is often called the Rolex of assault rifles because of its incredible build quality. Built with tight tolerances and premium materials, it is arguably the most accurate rifle ever issued. Every Swiss citizen who serves in the military is issued one, and its performance is legendary. It represents the peak of Cold War rifle design, where cost was no object in the pursuit of perfection. Spain developed the CETME Model L, which was meant to be their modern answer to the M16. However, the project was plagued by terrible quality control and cheap materials to save money. It gained a reputation for jamming constantly, leading the Spanish army to eventually replace it. It serves as a cautionary tale of what happens when a military prioritizes cost over functionality. The famous F1, known as the Bugle, became the unmistakable symbol of the French Foreign Legion. It is a bullpup design with a very high rate of fire and a unique lever-laid blowback system. Despite its strange looks, it was a highly effective weapon that could launch grenades with ease. It served France for decades before finally being replaced by a more conventional German design. The British L85A1 was a bullpup rifle that suffered from a disastrous and embarrassing introduction. Parts melted in the sun, magazines fell out during combat, and it jammed in the dusty desert air. It took a total and massive rebuild by the engineers at Heckler & Koch to finally make it work. Today, the improved version is a reliable weapon, but its early history remains a dark stain. Austria's Starog arrived in 1977 and looked like it was stolen from the set of a sci-fi movie. It featured a transparent magazine, a built-in scope, and a futuristic green polymer body. The trigger was progressive. Pull it halfway for one shot, or all the way for full auto fire. It is arguably the most successful and iconic bullpup rifle to ever be adopted by a major military. Sweden experimented with the Interdynamics MKS, an ugly and boxy bullpup that never saw production. It was an attempt to make a rifle as cheap and simple to build as a 1940s submachine gun. While it was a failure, its boxy design and polymer ideas influenced many later weapons in the West. It remains a strange curiosity in the history of Swedish weapon development. In 1974, the Soviet Union introduced the poison bullets with the arrival of the new AK-47. They moved from the heavy 7.62 mm round to a high-velocity 5.45 mm bullet with a hollow air pocket. When this bullet hit a target, it would tumble violently, creating horrific and devastating wounds. This was the East's direct answer to the American 5.56 mm, and it was lethally effective. For specialized Spetsnaz and tank crews, the Soviets created the tiny and loud AK-47 for you, known as the Krink. It was an AK-74 chopped down to the size of a small submachine gun. It is famous for its massive muzzle flash and its popularity with high-ranking officers and gangsters. It offers the power of a rifle in a package that can be hidden under a heavy winter coat. The AN-94 Abakan is widely considered the most complex and sophisticated rifle ever built by Russia. It features a hyperburst mode that fires 2 rounds at an incredible 1,800 rounds per minute. The second bullet leaves the barrel before the soldier even feels the recoil of the first shot. Because it is so difficult to maintain, It is only issued to the most elite Russian special forces. To solve the issue of recoil, the Russians built the AK-47 using a clever counterbalance system. An internal weight moves in the opposite direction of the bolt, canceling out the shaking of the gun. This allows a soldier to fire on full auto with the precision of a laser beam hitting a target. The AK-107 is the modernized version of this balance system, featuring a distinctively long gas tube. It was designed to give the average soldier the same laser-like accuracy as the elite AK-971. While it is an incredible piece of engineering, it has struggled to find a large-scale military buyer. It remains a high-tech variant of a platform that usually prides itself on being low-tech. For silent operations, the Russians developed the ASVAL, which has a suppressor built into the barrel. It fires a heavy subsonic 9mm bullet that can punch through body armor without making a sound. It is a ghost weapon designed for assassinations and secret raids deep behind enemy lines. The ASVAL is one of the most respected and feared specialized rifles in the modern world. The SR3 Vickers is a non-suppressed, ultra-compact version of the ASVAL designed for VIP protection. It is small enough to be concealed under a jacket, but packs the punch of an armor-piercing rifle. It is used by the Russian FSB to protect high-ranking officials in dangerous urban environments. It proves that you don't need a long barrel to have extreme stopping power. 4 police forces on a budget. Russia offered the 991 as a simpler alternative to the high-end SR3. It provided the same armor-piercing capability in a rugged, stamped steel package that was easy to fix. It is a no-nonsense tool for internal security forces who need to stop criminals in body armor. It lacks the beauty of other designs but makes up for it with pure, functional lethality. The OTS-4 Groza is a bizarre-looking bullpup conversion of the compact AK-47 4U platform. It features a large carrying handle that houses the sights and can be fitted with a grenade launcher. While it hits hard, it is known for having a terrible trigger and blowing gas into the shooter's face. It is a weird piece of Russian history that looks like something out of a video game. Soviet engineers even experimented with a twin-barreled rifle called the AO-63 to increase hits. It fired 2 rounds almost simultaneously, making the 2 shots sound like one single crack. It was an attempt to significantly increase the probability of hitting a moving target in combat. However, it was deemed too ugly, heavy, and complex for the average Soviet conscript to use. As far back as 1946, the TKB-408 was one of the first bullpup designs ever to compete against the AK-47. It lost the competition because it was poorly balanced and lacked the rugged reliability of the AK, but it predicted the trend of compact weapon design by nearly 30 years before it became popular. It is a reminder that the future was being designed in Russia long before the West caught up. The TKB-022 was a plastic-bodied bullpup from the 1960s that looked like a toy from outer space. The magazine was located at the very rear, and empty shells were ejected out the front of the gun. Proved that polymers could survive the heat of a rifle chamber long before the Starog. It was a radical design. It was simply too alien for the conservative Soviet generals of the time. Russia even developed weapons for frogmen, such as the APS underwater assault rifle. It fires long steel darts that can glide through the resistance of water to hit enemy divers. On land, the barrel wears out almost instantly, but underwater, it is a peerless and deadly tool. It remains one of the most specialized and unique firearms ever issued to any military unit. The modern replacement for the APS is the ADS, a bullpup that can fire both underwater and on land. It solves the logistical problem of a commando needing to carry 2 different guns for a mission. By simply switching magazines, the soldier can transition from the sea to the shore with 1 gun. It represents the absolute cutting edge of amphibious warfare technology in the 21st century. The Shokwan II is a massive Russian bullpup designed to stop terrorists instantly in urban combat. It fires a giant 12.7mm .50 caliber bullet designed to punch through walls and heavy body armor. It is the urban bulldozer of rifles, intended to end a fight with a single, massive impact. It has a very short range, but inside a building, it is perhaps the most terrifying gun on Earth. In the modern world, South Korea created the Daewoo K2. It's a perfect blend of East and West. It uses the reliable gas piston system of an AK, combined with the ergonomic bolt of an American M16. It is a highly respected rifle that serves the massive South Korean conscript army with pride. It is a testament to Korea's ability to take the best ideas in the world and make them better. Taiwan developed the Type 65 and the more modern T91 to protect their island from potential invasion. These are piston-driven rifles that look like M16s, but run much cleaner in the humid Pacific air. The T91 upper receiver has even become a popular choice for civilian shooters in the United States. It is a rugged and simple weapon system built for the high-intensity defense of a nation. Japan's Howa Type 89 is a lightweight and highly accurate rifle built to strict Japanese standards. It features a 3-round burst mode and is used exclusively by the Japanese self-defense forces. Because of Japan's strict laws, this high-quality rifle is almost never seen outside of their country. It represents the samurai spirit of precision engineering in a modern select fire package. China has recently moved away from the bullpup design and returned to the conventional QBZ-191. It looks like a mix of an AK and an AR-15, focusing on better ergonomics and modularity for the soldier. This shift shows that even the world's largest military realized the traditional layout is better for optics. The QBZ-191 is the new face of the Chinese People's Liberation Army for the coming decades. India's INS's rifle was a troubled attempt to mix the AK, the FAL, and the German G3 into one gun. It suffered from quality issues in the cold Himalayas, with plastic cracking and oil spraying the user. India is now moving toward replacing it with more modern Russian and American designs to save their troops. It serves as a reminder that building a reliable national rifle is one of the hardest tasks for any country. Israel's Tavira and X95 have become the standard for modern bullpup design in urban environments. The weight is balanced toward the shooter's shoulder, making it easy to clear rooms with one hand. It has seen heavy combat and has proven that the bullpup layout can be rugged and dependable. It is the Hebrew hammer, designed specifically for the realities of 21st century city fighting. The American M4 carbine became the defining weapon of the global war on terror for over 20 years. Lightweight and modular, it allowed soldiers to attach lasers, lights, and scopes for any mission. It is the benchmark by which all other modern carbines are measured in terms of ergonomics. Though it is an old design, it has evolved to remain one of the best fighting tools in history. Germany's AK-47 fixed the reliability issues of the M16 by adding a short-stroke gas piston. This rifle famously carried out the mission that took down Osama bin Laden in 2011. It is now the primary rifle for the French army and many elite special forces around the globe. It is the ultimate professional's rifle, known for working in the most extreme conditions imaginable. The FN SCAR was built for American special operations, featuring a folding boot stock and high reliability. While it is an excellent weapon, many soldiers found it to be too bulky compared to the slim M4. It remains a popular choice for many European countries and specialized units who need its power. It represents the high-end, modular future that many militaries dreamed of in the early 2000s. Italy's Beretta ARX-160 features a unique button that lets you change which side shells are ejected. This makes it the most ambidextrous rifle in the world, capable of being switched in a second. It is made almost entirely of polymer, making it very light but also very thick in the hand. It is a bold, modern design that tries to solve the problem of left-handed shooters once and for all. The SIG MCX Virtues is the new modular king, capable of changing barrels and calibers in minutes. It has been adopted by the British SAS, American Delta Force, and police units all over the world. It combines the familiar controls of the M16 with a modern, piston-driven heart that never quits. It is currently the hottest rifle on the market for professionals who demand the absolute best. Looking to the future, the USA has recently adopted the XM7 Spear to replace the aging M4. It moves away from the 5.56mm round to a powerful 6.8mm cartridge that can punch through body armor. It is a bigger, heavier, and more violent weapon designed for a near-peer war against modern armies. The adoption of the XM7 marks the end of an era and the start of a brand new chapter in history. We cannot forget the fletchet rifles like the Steyr ACR, which fired tiny steel darts at high speed. These darts were incredibly accurate and could fly in a flat line over very long distances. However, they lacked the stopping power to drop an enemy soldier instantly, so they were never adopted. They remain a fascinating what-if in the quest to find the perfect projectile for the infantry. From the CI Rigotti of 1900 to the high-tech SIG Spear of 2024, the revolution continues to turn. The assault rifle is more than just a weapon, it is a piece of history that reflects our ingenuity. As long as there is conflict, engineers will continue to chase the dream of the perfect rifle. The story of the select fire revolution is still being written, one bullet and one nation at a time.